And we are back with another Cardinals Nest on HBC Channel 25. Dean Beckman along with St. Mary's Sports Information Director Donny Nadeau back here to talk St. Mary's athletics here on HBC Channel 25. Thanks for watching. And Donny, you were down south in Phoenix, Arizona with the baseball and softball teams last week during spring break. And in the interview segment today, we'll have on Jen Miller and also Haley Ohl. They'll be our guests from the softball team. Jen, of course, is the head softball coach, and Haley is the first baseman for the Cardinals. And we'll hear about their 7-3 start to the season. And we'll also shortly here be talking about the baseball trip as well.
Yeah, I ran into Haley before we left campus. She was down in the rack, and some of the softball players were practicing their swings, and a couple pitchers were pitching. And Haley decided after hitting 464 down spring trip, she didn't need to worry about that. She was worried about her model walk. So she did a great job balancing that school book on her head. Now, she just informed me that she's got 3 tests this week, so maybe it shouldn't be on her head, but maybe she should be using it to study. So we'll have to ask her a little bit about this modeling career.
Yeah, well, I think, this platform is probably big enough. We could even have her try that out.
We might have to have her try it out. So.
All right, so that'll be coming up shortly. We'll talk about the start of the softball season, but first we'll preview, in this case, the last couple of weeks in St. Mary's athletics, since we didn't have a new show last week here on HBC. And Donny, will begin with baseball. You were with both softball and baseball in Phoenix. And it was nice, of course, to have them both kind of in the same place. It was easy for you to see both teams. And the baseball team, they ended up winning 2 of their last 3 games. So a good conclusion down there in Arizona, even though they got off to kind of a rocky start.
Yeah, I think if you talk to Coach Winicky, that's exactly what he'd say. You know, his big thing, his big philosophy when they were down there was to get better every day. And as we were leaving after Saturday's game against Marion, you know, he made the comment, we're definitely better today than we were when we came down to Phoenix. So he was happy with the way that they performed. Obviously, would like to be better than 2-7 overall, but you know, they did. They improved with each game that they played. And this early in the season, and we can talk to Jen about the same thing, it's really not about the wins and losses, but about the improvement. It's a long season. They play 40 games, and to start out with 9 games down south it was a good thing for them. And I know that Coach Winicky saw some things that he liked, and obviously he certainly saw some things that he probably would like to change or definitely need to work on.
Well, one of the things I'm sure he didn't like was that 4th game against Wesleyan University, although that was probably one of the best teams that they faced down there. It was a 17-3 loss, but after that game, that's when the Cardinals really started playing well. So sometimes you need a game like that to kind of kickstart the season.
Yeah, it's interesting. The teams that they played down south were extremely good teams. Most of them were in the Wisconsin Conference that is pretty similar to the MIAC, and most of the teams were in the upper half of that conference. So you've got Concordia Chicago, Concordia Wisconsin, Marion, all play in that conference. And so it was nice to see some teams that you usually don't face, but also you can kind of compare you know, that conference to the MIAC, and I think that Coach Winicky liked what he saw. The Wesleyan team was unbelievable. They were extremely good. When we played them, they had already played 4 games on their season, and in each game they had scored 10 or more runs. So offensively, they were a very good team. And when you look at pitching, facing live batting for the first time, obviously our pitchers weren't quite where Coach Winicky is hoping they would be, and you know, so it was you know, it was certainly an eye opener for a lot of people.
And probably the games that they would like to have back would have been a doubleheader against Presentation College. They even lose one of those in extra innings. And, you know, one of the things, too, about this trip, most of these games were 9-inning games versus the 7-inning games that they normally play. And so you talked about the team ERA being a little bit too high. A lot of that had to do with this. They stretched their pitchers longer than they normally would have to.
Yeah, we talked a little bit off camera before we came on, and one of the things that you kind of forget when you're talking about you know, this spring trip is all those games were 9-inning games. So now all of a sudden in an MIAC game, you get to the 6th and 7th inning. That's the end of the game. Well, when we were down south, you get to that 6th inning, you've still got the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning that you need to pitch. And so you're stretching your pitchers a little bit more. You're letting them throw a little more than maybe you would in the regular season. So I think that, you know, you look at some of those scores and you look at how many runs they gave up. I think that you got to keep into perspective that in 9-inning games, some of those pitchers were throwing more pitches than they usually would. Now, On the flip side of that, you've got a pitcher in Chris Bogie who pitched the last game for the Cardinals against Marion. There was no way Chris was coming out of that game. It was a 4-2 St. Mary's win. He pitched all 9 innings, threw about 150 pitches, and was just phenomenal. And I know from a standpoint of Coach Winicky, it was great to see from Chris, a senior who he is going to have to rely on to do a lot of pitching this year. And when he can get a performance like that, it certainly was a nice way for them to end their spring trip.
Yeah, it certainly sets a good example for the rest of the team, and as you said, springboards them to the games that they have coming up. Individually, Donnie, offensively, who were some of the players that stood out? Certainly Vince Lulick is off to a great start, hitting-wise, over 500 on that trip.
Yeah, Vince did very well, and the other one that really sticks out right away is John Schlemmer, a freshman, and he just had a phenomenal week down there. He had 13 hits, 4 of which were for extra bases, 2 doubles, a triple, and a home run. It's kind of ironic. He picked up the first hit for the Cardinals in their first game, so as a freshman to get that first hit was nice, and then he just continued to go. Andrew Warren had a good week. One of the things that really kind of hurt the Cardinals is they did suffer 2 injuries that are going to make Coach Winicky's job a little bit more difficult, in that he has to do some juggling, in that he lost Matt Tessmer and Jake Lechner both to shoulder injuries, so they're going to be out for quite some time, which forced Nick to do a little bit of juggling, and Vince actually got moved from third base out into left field and did a really nice job out in left field, a place that he hasn't played in his college career, so it was one of those things that he threw him out there and said, hey, let's see what you can do, and Vince did a really great job. So early on, I think the pitching still needs to come around a little bit, but offensively they hit the ball very well, and I think that the biggest thing, if you ask Coach Winicky, as we found out when we had him on, he's just going to tell you, we just want to keep getting better, and I think that they did that from day to day.
And they can attempt to get even a little bit better this upcoming weekend, weather permitting, Donnie. They will go to Mountain Vernon, Iowa to take on Cornell College, and then on March 22nd, they're at the University of Dubuque.
Yeah, 2 big doubleheaders against a couple of Iowa schools, and Iowa doesn't have any snow right now, so right now the game is on for Saturday as well as for next Tuesday, and then St. Mary's is hoping to open their home season a week from Friday against Finlandia. So the snow needs to melt a little bit more. We still got some snow on the field, but right now it looks like we're going to be playing baseball a week from Friday at Max Moloch Field.
All right, let's go to men's tennis now, and they had a little spring trip of their own. Not quite as exciting as Phoenix, Arizona. They on March 5th and 6th they were at Elkhorn, Wisconsin, Naperville, Illinois, and a big 9-0 win over Edgewood College, Donnie, for the men. And then at Naperville they lose to North Central 5-4.
Yeah, it was a good trip for them. There was supposed to be one more match there against Adrian, but with the snowstorm that we were supposed to get here, Coach Hallberg decided to cut the trip short and get back rather than try to drive through what was supposed to be a pretty hefty snowstorm. So, but it was good for them to get that 9-0 win, and then a tough 5-4 loss in that second one. And Mike Lunka is playing extremely well, and he and Bobby Steingraber now at #1 doubles have won 5 straight matches, which is phenomenal. When you figure you're playing the best doubles of any other team that you're playing, and for them to rattle off 5 straight wins is outstanding. Steve Mino has been playing very well in doubles. He's got 6 straight wins, and then freshman Tim Wolford has been doing very well in singles. He's got 5 straight wins as well. So there's some very solid performances there, and I think that we keep talking about how it's this time that Coach Hallberg is trying to figure out his lineup and figure out where he wants everybody to play. And I think things are starting to settle down now. And you got Lunka at 1, and Tim Wolford's been playing a lot at #2, and so Bobby is dropping down to #3. He and Pavel have been switching off there. So it's looking like the lineup's getting a little bit set. And as you see the schedule there now, we'll start.
Doesn't get any easier.
It definitely doesn't when you've got Gustavus, a team that's won the last 22 straight men's regular season conference titles. They're 5-0 right now. So
it's incredible. 22
straight. So
wow.
it's they're the power, and it's going to be a tough road when they play them on Saturday. But you got to play them sometime. So bring them on and see what happens.
Yeah. Let's talk women's tennis. They also beat Edgewood College by the score of 6-3, and then St. Mary's did win 8-1, but it wasn't the right St. Mary's, Donnie. It was St. Mary's College out of Notre Dame, Indiana, and they handed the Cardinals an 8-1 setback.
Yeah, kind of fun that you're playing another St. Mary's. and when I first talked to Coach Hallberg about that St. Mary's, because he had on the schedule it was St. Mary's, I thought it was the St. Mary's in Moraga, California, and that would have been a nice trip.
That would have been a nice trip.
It was a good match. St. Mary's is a very solid team, and Coach Hallberg was happy with the way that they played. I think he would have liked to have seen that 8-1 be a little bit closer match, but he was very happy with the way that they played. And Bailey Edwards had an outstanding performance in both of her matches. She's now won 6 straight matches and is, she's 8-1 on the season and just doing phenomenal. And she had the luxury, or maybe not the luxury, of playing with her sister at #1 doubles during that trip, and I'm sure that that was an interesting thing for the two sisters to play together. So they're doing very well. They're playing solid, and just like the men, Jeff's been tinkering with his lineup a little bit, and hopefully now as they head to, they've got St. Catherine at home on Friday, and then they go to Gustavus on Saturday, and hopefully the lineup is set and they can start making a run at some conference and maybe the conference championships as well.
Donnie, real quick, let's talk track and field. The indoor season has now ended, and the MIAC Conference Championships, as we look at some of the finishes there, if only Andrew Brigham could have had the throw that he had at the MIAC Indoor Championships, where he took first place with a throw of 19.6668 meters, that would have won the national title when he went to the NCAA Division III Indoor Championship, but instead he let loose one of his worst throws of the season and finished out of the running.
Yeah, I'm sure we don't have to remind Andrew that that throw would have gotten him a national championship. But, I talked to Coach McMahon after that throw, and, it was one of those things that he summed it up as well as you can. It was a great indoor season for Andrew. It was just a bad day, and it's cliche-ic, I know, but, everybody's entitled to a bad day, and unfortunately for Andrew, that day came at probably the worst possible moment, as he had to finish 10th in that MIAC or in the indoor championships. But if you look at it the other way, he's one of a few handful that got to compete in the NCAA national championships, and I think a 10th place finish maybe doesn't feel good right now, but I'm sure when he looks back on it when his senior season is over, he'll feel pretty good about just being able to say that he competed in the national championships 2 years in a row.
And still possible outdoor
Absolutely.
championships
I would be very hard pressed to believe that he's not competing in the hammer throw in the national championships, and will not be satisfied again with a 10th place finish.
All right, coming up next, we'll talk softball with Haley Ohl and Jen Miller. That's next. Stay tuned here to the Cardinals Nest on HBC.
I think we're back in business.
Hey, I'm Buddha, inviting you to join me for a brand new show here on HBC TV 25 called Real Attractions. We'll show you trailers from the latest movies to hit theaters and also what's being released on DVD that week. Plus, you have a chance to win free movies by registering at my.hbci.com/realattractions. But you gotta watch to win. So check out Real Attractions here on HBC TV 25, hosted by yours truly, which is why we didn't call it Real Attractive.
To compete for the Sprint Cup Championship, you need to communicate effectively with your team. We're going to practice pit stops, pal. Screw you.
Respect between drivers is the hallmark of our sport.
Of course, your crew chief has to stare down the pressure every single lap.
For all 4 tires. No, 2 tires. 2 tires.
You haven't really seen the race until you watch Inside NASCAR.
Inside NASCAR, Wednesdays at 9, 8 Central on Showtime. New season premieres February 16th.
And welcome back to the Cardinals Nest. Dean Beckman along with Donny Nadeau here on HBC Channel 25, and we welcome in the head coach for the softball team, Jen Miller, along with her first baseman, Haley Ohl. And welcome, Jen and Haley, to the Cardinals Nest. And Haley, this is your first time on the Cardinals Nest. We won't ask you about your modeling career just yet. I'll let Donnie do that a little bit later. You're a sophomore from Bloomington, so tell us how you got started in softball, why you came to St. Mary's, and what you're majoring in at St. Mary's.
All right. Well, I've been playing softball for as long as I can remember. I have an older brother, so kind of grew up with softball, baseball, sports in general. Came to St. Mary's because my brother goes here as well, so that was kind of a big thing. And
he plays baseball, right?
He did freshman year,
Okay,
not
good.
anymore. But I really liked the team, really got along with everybody, came to a couple practices, couple games, got along with everybody really well, and I just decided to go for it. So I really enjoy it here, and major is criminal justice and planning on being a police officer.
All right, that's terrific. So Haley is a sophomore, and Jen, it's good to see her getting off to the start that she did. You were down in Tucson for your spring trip, and she hit the lights out of the ball.
Yep, actually Haley picked up, she started, in the fall we started doing a little bit slapping with her. So this was her first, she worked hard on it in the off season and kind of won a starting spot that way, and did really well with it on Tucson. So we were really happy with that. Our leading batting average.
7-3 in Tucson is, you know, looking at the schedule before you left for Tucson, if you were to say that you would go 7-3, were you surprised with that?
From the February 1st, I told the team, hey, we got a great team, we got a lot of talent. We had a tough schedule while we were down there. We were facing 2 ranked teams that were down there, one ranked 7th and one ranked 24th in the nation. And some of those other teams, they had some great statistics from the year before. So I thought we could really play with them. The 2 big games we came up with wins was huge for our team. I think we played the way we could, and we know what we can do for the rest of the season.
You know, obviously, Cohen Central are certainly Iowa rivals of ours, in that we faced them many times, most of the time in the postseason. How gratifying was it for you, because you've played against them and now coached against them?
Yep.
How gratifying were those 2 wins?
It was good. When I was a player, as well as many of the alumni would probably tell you, those are 2 of our biggest opponents when we were players as well. So I got a couple of emails from alumni telling us, great job with those wins. It's always nice to beat them. They always have great programs coming down there. They have great softball players in Iowa. So it was great to come up on the winning side of those games because they were excellent games. Both teams had great players. So.
Haley, as a player, talk about the importance of your trip to Tucson, not just maybe necessarily just on a softball ranking, but in terms of building chemistry and whatnot.
I would say that a lot of people on campus would agree that the softball team is the closest team on campus. We honestly do everything on the field and off the field together. It's an extremely close team. We all get along very, very, very well, and going down to Tucson just made it 100 times better. Just being with your best friends is, I mean, you can't ask for anything better than that. So.
How about on the field? Were you, you know, this is going to be a weird word, but were you impressed with the way your team played?
With how hard we worked in the off season, it was expected. We worked our butts off in the off season, and it was just kind of, we just knew this was going to be our year. So we're still going to be working hard and hopefully proving to the teams that we deserve to be in the MIAC championship. So. Well,
and Jen, you have great senior leadership this year. You know, just to rattle off a few: Joanna Mangan, you've got Katie Gannon there as well, and Kelly Simons. So really, you have to count on those 3 as Haley pointed out, to bring the team together, to help with that close-knit group, and you really improve upon what was a good year last year.
Definitely. We also have Mel Betzel in that group who's been pitching first a lot, and she also plays first base. So those 4 seniors have really worked hard. 3 of them have played since freshman year, and 1 came in sophomore year but has worked hard ever since. So having those 4 in the infield helping us out has been great. I mean, having 4 years of experience on your belt has definitely played a part in why we're 7-3 right now.
Well, and speaking of Mallory, she pitched very well down there. ERA, I think, of just over 2 right now, and she hit the ball very well as well. So you kind of got double duty from Mallory.
Definitely. Mal has great presence on the mound as well as at the plate. I mean, when Mal comes up, pitchers are scared to pitch her just because she has great power, and when she connects, I mean, she drives that ball. So just having her on the mound and at the plate is great for the team and for herself.
You know, you really have kind of a 2-headed monster in that you guys can hit the ball. You've proven that not only this year, but last year you were a very good offensive team. But this year you've got a lot more depth pitching-wise. You know, you've got Mallory there as your number 1, if you want to call it number 1. But then you've also got Angie Bates and Kayla Peterson this year. Talk a little bit about the importance of having some depth this year in your pitchers.
Yep, we have 3 great pitchers on staff this year. Mal obviously has pitched for us for 4 years now. Angie Bates is a freshman. Kayla Peterson transferred in. She knew coming in we had 2 great pitchers, and she was just adding to our staff. So they come in thinking that they're a collective unit. They're pitching as a staff, not just as an individual pitcher. So to have 3 of them that we're able to throw in any game is great. Just to have 3 pitchers on any team, any team in the conference would love to have 3 pitchers. So we're very blessed in that sense.
Haley, you talk a little bit about how hard you guys have worked, especially in the off season. Now you come in, you're 7-3. We're praising you for being 7-3. How do you guys keep from being complacent and say, okay, we're 7-3, we're good? How do you keep from being complacent and making sure that you continue to get better?
Well, we had some games down in Tucson that we should have won easily, and for us, that's kind of a little hint to be like, oh, well, you know what? We did beat some good teams, but we still have to beat those teams that we should be beating. So for us, it's more of a, hey, let's just work harder just to beat those teams that may even be better than us and teams that we should be competing with as well. So.
Coach, I'm sure you circled March 30th on your calendar probably last year when your schedule came out. But talk a little bit about, you start your conference season, and unfortunately, fortunately, however you want to look at it, you started against St. Thomas, basically one of the top teams in the conference, top teams in the nation. How do you approach getting ready for St. Thomas, having really 2 weeks off now before you play them?
Going 7-3 gave us a confidence boost, which we talked about with the team. Going 7-3 on your spring trip is good, but you have to win your conference in order to get in the MIAC tournament. So we talked about that. Last year we split with the Tommies, so we know we can beat them, which the girls I think have some confidence with that. So ladies are ready to play when we play them. We're working hard in the next 2 weeks, knowing that they're going on their spring trips starting next week, so they'll come off playing. But if we play the way we know how and play the way we played last year, we can definitely beat them, take 2 from them.
Well, and Jen, Donnie had asked the question to Haley about not letting the team become complacent. And I know last year you felt the team lost some conference games that really they should have won. Maybe some teams that you split against should have swept. And in the end, that's what kept the team out of the tournament at the end of the season. So I'm sure that something that will be a focus of yours going into this season.
Sure. With our conference, anyone can beat anyone. So you got to come ready to play each and every day. And just like you're talking about in the segment before this about just wasn't your day. So some days it can happen that way. But if you do everything you can in that one day, you should probably be able to beat those teams. But every team has those ups and downs, and hopefully we won't have as many downs this year.
Haley, any secret to the fast start? You're batting almost 500 on the season so far. What's been the key to success?
I think a lot of it is just hard work in the off season. I mean, the whole team, we had 2-a-days in the winter, morning workouts, and then practice in the afternoon. I don't think we've ever worked this hard in the off season, and it's showing. A lot of the seniors have been picking it up and just really leading the team, and I don't know, it's just a lot of work in the off season and good coaching. So.
And Coach Paige Carter, she's batting very well, almost 400, 3 home runs down in Tucson, so she's been supplying the power.
Definitely, 3 home runs, 2 of them were actually grand slams.
Wow.
So, so she's really hitting the ball well, finding some good pitches to swing at. We're concentrating our team just having quality at bats. If you hit the ball hard, hit it right back at the pitcher. Hey, you picked a good pitch, took a good swing. She's picking some good pitches to swing at and take some good hacks. So hopefully we can continue that.
Now, did she hit the game winner against Pittsburgh, University of Pittsburgh? I see you won in 10 innings there, 9-5. Talk about that game.
We actually did a suicide. I believe Haley was on third base to get the go-ahead run there, and then Paige came up and hit a grand slam after that. So she added some security runs for us. But we did do a suicide right before that. But just having those extra couple runs to give the coaches a little bit of break there. So that was good.
And so Haley, overall, the spring trip, of course, helps with that team unity. Now, what's your perspective of the conference season coming up? Not only the St. Thomas game, but just looking ahead to some of these other games down the road.
Well, like Coach Miller said, it's definitely a good confidence builder for us to go 7-3 in the spring trip. But I keep on saying hard work. That's all that we can really expect right now is hard work out of all of us. Hard work on the field, off the field, just really having a positive attitude. We ordered bands this year that say stay positive, and just to keep our team up, and if you make an error, move on, get over it, and don't make an error again. So
Jen, how hard is it now? You've had your spring break, but like we were talking, now you've got 2 weeks that really you're still inside. So you've gone from this beautiful weather, 80 degrees, sorry to rub it in, people, but 80 degrees, but now you're going back into where you have to practice inside. Is that a hard adjustment to do?
It is a hard adjustment for those outfielders to come in, and they don't really get fly balls off the sky. So we have been going out on the turf, which now that we have that facility, it's been nice to go outside and take some fly balls out there. We're starting to go half outside, half inside. So we're doing our hitting inside and our fielding stuff outside. So hopefully this warm weather continues and we can keep on doing that. But it is tough to come from the sunny weather and back to the indoors and the rack. But we're blessed to have all the facilities that we have in order to do that.
Yeah, of course, the snow melting fast should be ready, barring another late March snowstorm for that first home game against St. Thomas, right?
Yep, should be ready. I did some shoveling on the field yesterday, so hopefully the field will dry out and we'll be ready to go.
Jen, real quick, one last question. Besides St. Thomas, and St. Mary's, of course, who are the other teams expected to vie for the title in the conference this year?
St. Olaf was made the conference tournament last year. They got some good kids in there on their team. Bethel, Augsburg, I mean, in this conference, in the softball conference, anyone can beat anyone, so I wouldn't count any team out right now.
Donnie, any quick modeling question for Haley?
Well, I'd heard
What's
rumors America's Top Model here. I think that was the next
We'll see.
That's the next step. Let softball get over
That's
it.
right. That's right.
All right. Thanks to Jen and Haley for being on the Cardinals Nest. Good luck the rest of the season. Stay tuned. Donnie and I will be back to wrap things up on the Cardinals Nest right after this on HBC.
Wouldn't it be nice if there was a mobile phone company where you could actually get great customer service? Well, the wait is over. Full mobile phone service is now available at HBC. With plans starting as low as $40 a month on the nation's largest coverage map, HBC Mobile has a plan for everyone. Individual, family, data, they're all available. And they all come with the personal customer service you've come to expect from HBC. Stop in today at 58 Johnson Street, Winona to see how you can get a free phone. HBC Mobile. Service you can trust.
Brace yourself.
Good one.
Showtime is taking you over the edge. With shows to shake you up, movies to rock your soul, and heart-pounding sports, all in HD.
Now is the time.
It's time. Get Showtime.
How could I not get it?
Experience HDNet.
Television is no place to hide.
Your home for MMA.
We just made the fight of the year.
Uncompromising, Emmy Award-winning news.
We're told that if we got out of the car, that the police would stop us from filming.
The world's greatest concerts every Sunday. And Guys Night In.
I recommend this party. Best time of my life.
And welcome back to the Cardinals Nest on HBC. We'll wrap things up with some non-sporting events going on the St. Mary's campus in the next week or two. And we have a lot of stuff coming up here late March, early April. And, of course, brave souls and warm hearts are invited to join the St. Mary's in the second annual Cardinal Plunge. That's on Saturday, March 19th this year. It's a freezing fundraiser that begins at 1 p.m. at Lake Goodview, located at Michael LeCain Park in Goodview. The Cardinal Plunge proceeds will be given to the Cardinal Plunge Student Emergency Fund, which is a fund that's set aside for students in need or in emergency situations. So the cost to take that plunge into the icy lake is $10. And all participants who pre-register do receive a t-shirt. Last year, more than 300 people were there, and about 120 people took the plunge. Also, the Page series invites the public to celebrate the beauty of traditional Irish step and contemporary modern dance with Dara Carr Dance on Wednesday, March 23rd. It's a fast-paced, spirited dance. It begins at 7:30 p.m. on the Page Theater stage. And finally, later this March, St. Mary's is presenting the 11th annual Taylor Richmond Benefit Dance. It'll be from 8 p.m. to midnight on Saturday, March 26th. This year, the proceeds will benefit Tony Graythan, who's the step-grandson of St. Mary's Registrar Sue Edel. Tony is a 7-year-old boy from Rolling Stone with a rare form of muscular cancer. And certainly we'll be talking more about Richmond Benefit in a few weeks. All right, that's going to do it for the Cardinals Nest. Thanks for watching here on HBC.